Good morning, good morning. Uh, it is February of 2026, another year all over again. This is Sunny again, talking about ulcerative colitis, nutrition, proper human diet. Usually, I discuss how I've healed myself naturally without drugs and without medicine because they tend to cause more harm than good. And there is a way to make yourself better with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's naturally. I've done it. Hundreds of people, thousands of people have done it. Uh, Unfortunately, if you go to the Western medicine, if you go to doctors, they don't believe it, or they're kind of medicine happy, as I call it, because they tend to push drugs. Uh, I hate to say that it's a business world, but that's what it is. So today, being February, I decided to come back because it's been about a month since I did my last video, maybe a month and a half actually. Um, the video today is talking about a little bit more ulcerative colitis. I'm giving you updates since I just tested myself 2 weeks ago. Let you know how things have gone, what I've done, what's changed, or what's not. So let's get into it. So, good news and bad news, both. And I want to give you some updates on what was good first, and then we'll get into the bad and then how to deal with it. Okay? So, if you've watched my videos previously, which I've done plenty, I've done the last 2 years, I've been doing videos of myself talking about my progression. Usually, I do one every month, twice maybe a month, but usually once a month. And the video is progression of how I started, where my numbers were, and how I got to where I am today. So to give you a little bit of background, with my ulcerative colitis, I ended up in the hospital. It was pretty bad. Doctors were recommending me removing my colon. I refused. I'm one of those people who do not believe in doing that. I said either I'm going to fix it naturally or I'm going to die trying. It is what it is. So um, I did. I'm a nutritionist by trade. I shouldn't say by trade, by education. And then what I realized is most of what they've taught us in nutrition is wrong. So I had to do my own research and learn on my own and study and look at scientific journals. I went to several doctors who are privately teaching people how to cure themselves naturally, and they're not using the Western version. They're using functional medicine and nutrition to try to fix it, and they've succeeded. Um, if you look at my previous videos, I've discussed some of the doctors. Uh, I also wrote a couple of books on ulcerative colitis and one on just nutrition and how to fix the chronic diseases. Uh, if you need to look at the books and read about it, the book's under my name. It's under Weiss, Wais. Last name is Ali, Ali, and you can find that in Amazon. Uh, these books were I published it self-publishing, so I don't have thousands of dollars to have it published and checked. So if try not to look at my writing technique because I am not a writer, but look at the information, which is what's important. I've discussed nutrition for people who are just trying to be healthy. I've discussed nutrition based on people trying to deal with obesity, which is a condition that has become a profitable business for the pharmaceutical company with the GLP-1s. If you're familiar with the shots, now they've got the pills. And I'm very disappointed in that because it has a lot of risk factors. because remember, those things were actually designed for diabetes, and they found that it has a side effect where it helps people lose weight. But nothing in medicine comes without risk. They usually, for everything they fix, they cause two more problems. And what's upsetting is that there's a natural way to do it, but nobody wants to do it the natural way because it requires that you be disciplined, and nobody wants to be disciplined. Everybody wants the shortcut, and the GLP ones now are the shortcut fat drug, as Trump calls it. Um, and they're making this a profitable business and risking people's lives. But that's a separate subject. We'll talk about that in another video. So let's get to an update on what's going on with my colitis and my health in general, with what I've been doing and what went good and what went bad and what I did wrong myself. So about 3 months ago when I tested myself, my calprotectin numbers were really low. It dropped to about 250. Now, calprotectin is a stool test that you have to do usually to find out if there's inflammation in your colon. It's easy when you go to the doctor. They give you a little thing to go and collect some stool, and you turn it in, and they look into what kind of inflammation there is. So if you have inflammation, anything over 100 means there's some inflammation. It's not uncommon to go over 100 because you have spicy foods, you eat something your body doesn't like, you eat junk food, your numbers can go up, it can go over 100. But usually if you have if you don't have ulcerative colitis, you may go up to even 200, but it goes right back down right away after like a day. It's usually not a problem. You're usually under 50 even, and that it fluctuates within that range of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70 when depends on what you eat. So when you go above 200, that means you're not doing good with whatever you're eating because it's irritating your stomach. When you go up to like 500, now we're talking inflammation and starting to reach ulcerative colitis. Now, as I've always talked about, Western medicine blames everything on genetics and genes. They don't really know what's causing it, so their answer is it's probably an immune system, and the answer to that is to shoot your immune system down with drugs, which has its own side effects. If you're familiar with people who take immune suppressants, they tend to have side effects. The risk of cancer goes up because your immune system is compressed down. You tend to get flus and sick very easily. So the risk factor I never think is worth what you're doing, and that's not the way to treat yourself. There's always a natural way to fix yourself, especially with these type of things because they're chronic diseases. These are what I call Western diseases that have been around for the last 50, 60 years. And if you were to go to, for example, an African country or some rare parts of Alaska, some parts of South America where they're indigenous people or people who are living off the land like the olden days, they're kind of hunter-gatherers still. They live that lifestyle. Chronic diseases and diseases in general are extremely rare. It's never heard of. If you ask them, do you have any kind of, do you have diabetes, for example, they'd be like, what's that? If you say you have, also colitis, they've never heard of those things. So it's been something that's been going on around 40 years now. I think 50 years maybe. What's happened is our food system has changed in the last 50 years considerably. We are eating more of not just processed but chemical-based foods. We've left the old hunter-gatherer lifestyle a long time ago, but at least past 60 years ago, 70 years ago, it was a very basic diet. It was made at home. The family made it. Usually the wife made it. The food came with some kind of meat. some kind of steamed or cooked vegetable, or some fruit, uh, maybe some bread. Uh, the grains were not modified, they were not GMO, so there's no chance of the protein being changed, because now a lot of people don't do well with breads. And they don't do well with breads not because our body suddenly went haywire. Our body doesn't do well with bread because most grains now are not the old grains, because they keep modifying the grain to make it more fruitful for supply. And what they've done in the process changed the chemical structure and the protein structure of grains, and the body does not do well with proteins it doesn't recognize. So your body tends to attack itself because it doesn't know what the protein is, doesn't know how to use it, doesn't process well. And now half the world now is talking, not half the world, half of America is talking about how they're gluten intolerant, where that's not really true either, because you can't have so many people within the last 2-3 decades suddenly become gluten intolerant. And what you've become is you're intolerant to the protein structure change that your body is not designed for. Now, there are other factors, because the other factors are that our foods are loaded with chemicals, and those are poison for your body. And you take it long enough in your body, enough years, even if it's in safe numbers, according to FDA. But I have very little faith in the FDA or the food and agriculture, because there have been plenty of scientific, plenty of proof that they have taken bribes, they take money from organizations, and they approve things that shouldn't get approved. And a simple example of that is, if you look at the chemicals that's allowed by the FDA, according to them in safe amounts, so I have to put that in quotes, there are hundreds and hundreds of chemicals they allow for businesses to put in their foods. And they say as long as it's within a certain marker, it's safe. Now, why would you allow something that even requires a label like that? If I can't have 10 of something, why would one of them would be safe? So why would you allow these things in our foods? It's because it's business. It's because it's a way of cheap, fast preservatives, processing, whatever, to keep the business flowing. Maybe it's because of our heavy population. Maybe because people take bribes. Maybe because, I don't know, they don't care. Who knows? I don't even want to discuss the factors of that. That's not what this video is about. But this is what's going on. So those kinds of things all cause these chronic diseases that become a problem for most people. Hence why I started making videos, because I am trying to help people learn how to eat properly. If your goal is to lose weight, it is. I have the natural, proper human diet to lose weight. It's like the natural GLP-1. It really works just as good. If your goal is to cure chronic diseases, there's a diet that works well with that too. There's, of course, a proper nutrition. You can have proper human nutrition you can have. That's for people who are just trying to stay healthy. You just have to leave the chemicals behind. You have to stop eating outside all the time, because outside foods, no matter how careful you are, they put stuff in it that you do not know about, and you can't guarantee that it's not in there, and it puts you at risk. So let's talk about back to gearing towards our conversation, because I'm kind of veering off to too many things I'm trying to share with you here. So my last numbers I took was about 2 weeks ago, and I did a lot of tests looking at blood count, cholesterol, liver test for ALT, AST, of course, the calprotectin, which is for the stool test, And the numbers were up and down. Some were good, some were great, some were not so much. Some of them actually got worse. So let's talk about the good ones first. What makes us better? What made me better? What numbers look better? So, and then I'll discuss what I've been eating. So, the things that improved a lot. One of the things that improved a lot is my cholesterol numbers. Now, my cholesterol is never bad extremely. I never had like extreme cholesterol problems. I was always on the border or slightly high or slightly low, but slightly under. But I've always, like total cholesterol, which is not an important number to consider, but I was always swimming around 100, I say about 190 to 220, 230. So never really bad. My LDL, which again is not another important one, was always around between 100 and 100, let's just say 80, somewhere around there. And it was seldom ever that high, but it was always about 120, 140, 150, somewhere around there. HDL was always low. My HDL was always 20 something, if I'm lucky 30. My triglycerides were the ones that was dangerous. That's the one that you should consider worrying about. My triglycerides swam between, say, 90 and about 200. So our 190 was the highest, I think, if I remember correctly. So it's been going up and down on that one. It's obviously when I cut down the fast food and all that, the junk that was out there, that made a big difference. It dropped in low hundreds, like 120, 30. But those are in great numbers for triglycerides. The lower your number on triglycerides, the better it is. So, in the last year and a half, where I have done between a sort of a carnivore, sort of a keto diet, to cure myself from my ulcerative colitis. And mind you, I eat probably 4 times or more fat, or 5 times more fat than I did before. Um, and But I removed, of course, the breads and stuff. So we'll talk about that on a separate. As you watch my videos that talks about the proper human diet, it talks about those type of subject matters. But so my cholesterol's now, if I were to tell you the numbers from 2 weeks ago, uh, my LDL was somewhere around 87, I believe. My total cholesterol was 178. My HDL was 41. Not bad for me because usually I'm low, but I'm 41, which is improving from 20 something, 30 somethings. And the most important, which is my triglycerides, which the last time I checked was 120 something, 130, is down to 90. Gosh, was it 97? Something like that. So when they tell you that eating natural fats are bad for you, eat vegetable fats, it's a complete lie. You do not want to eat vegetable oils, you want to eat natural fats. Fats like butter, fats like ghee, fats like beef fat, lard, which is from pigs. Um, and then the exception to those outside of those natural fats is you can have extra virgin olive oil if it's a real quality one, avocado oil, which is a good one, and also coconut oil. But you want to make sure you get good quality real ones because they tend to make fake ones a lot. One of the things I'm very careful of, what I do is when I buy slabs of meat, I remove the fat off of it because they usually have a big fat layer of it. And then I melt the fat off of it, put it in a container, and I use that as one of my fats I eat. I use ghee a lot, and I use avocado oil, extra virgin oil, a little bit, both of those on and off. Bacon fat a lot. Now, if doctors are right, I'm completely wrong. My cholesterol should be in the sky. I should be dead by now. But that's not how it works. If you eat a proper human diet, with lots of fat, your fat levels go down because it's not the fat that brings your cholesterol up and it clogs your arteries. It's the sugars and the carbs that does that. Now that's a separate part of the conversation, which I've done videos on, and you guys can look that up. But the key to lowering your cholesterol and being healthy is eating more natural fats and decreasing your carbohydrates and sugar by 90%. Okay, at least 90%. Because combined, if you do both, is very risky. That really will drive you the wrong direction. You cannot do both. So, for example, if I eat on a rare occasion, I have a slice of bread. When I do, uh, I eat meat that is extremely low in fat. So I get the lean one, or if it's fatty one, I remove all the oil out of it. So it's not, so it's mostly meat. So I try to stay on the leaner side. But when I'm eating my normal diet, which is mostly meat and some veggies, it's usually very fatty. I put extra, like for example, I'll give you examples when I have ground beef. I buy the 15% fat because I get grass fed usually. They don't make it any fatter. I would rather have that, but when I do, I add actually ghee or avocado oil or something to it that will increase the fat to 20%, 25%. Not only does it make the food more delicious, but it is actually what your body should be getting is at least 20% fat in your meat. 25% is even better. But meat is just meat. It's meat with either bacon or with some other form of food that's not carbohydrates. I add a little bit of vegetable that's cooked into it, and then I eat it that way. If I eat a steak and I cook the steak in beef fat, then when I'm done and take it out on a plate, I usually either pour the fat from the pan in on a steak, or if the oil is looking a little too not pretty because you use it once or twice, it doesn't get a good color to it, then I just get my avocado bottle and pour 2-3 spoons of it on top of the steak or on the side of a plate so I can dip my meat every time I bite into it. So fat is not the problem, it's the carbohydrates of bread. Hence why my numbers on my cholesterol are great. It's improved. What else did I look at? They usually look at creatine and creatinine, albumin, all that. And usually I'm always good with that. I don't usually have a problem. The problems I usually have is I'm anemic, so I don't absorb iron well. Now, I don't know if this is something I might have had when I was younger and I just didn't realize it. I probably not because I don't remember a doctor ever telling me, but I assume it has to do with ulcerative colitis that makes it harder to absorb the iron, but not 100% sure. It could be genetic, it could be just something else going on, but I tend to be anemic. So I take something called a gentle iron. It's an iron that normally buy from the store. It's a supplement, but regular iron gets to be a little tough on the stomach. Gentle iron is a more gentler version of regular iron that makes it more absorbable. And then I take in like another bottle, which is, let me grab it. Give me a second here because that's how I know what it is I can tell you. All right, sorry about that. Leaving my glasses. Iron Protein Plus. Okay. Iron Protein Plus is it's called an Iron Protein Plus by Life Extension. The brands are, I pick very particular brands to make sure they're reliable, third-party tested, just to be on the safe side. It's kind of a binding agent to help bind the protein better or absorb it better. I take that, and then usually with I take a multivitamin, so it's loaded with vitamin C, so that it can help to absorb it, because iron gets absorbed much better with vitamin C. So I always make sure that if I eat steak, there's some kind of vitamin C with it, or if I eat the supplements, I get a multivitamin with it so that it can help absorb. Uh, they tend to keep my numbers slightly above low, so it's just okay. I can't seem to get it to go really high. But when I stop these things, I notice my numbers go down and get really low. And the side effects I notice is, I think, more fatigue. I get dizzy sometimes if I bend my hand down. If I lean down too long, I get dizzy. Or if I get up too fast, that can happen. But that's when my numbers are extremely low, which happens quite often with anemia. But when I'm on these things and I'm regular with it, because that's my problem, I tend to not. I'm not a fan of supplements. That's a separate subject, but um, I to find one that you know is quality, that isn't garbage, that aren't selling you stuff just to take, that you don't even know what's in it or the amount is in there. That's not what it's. You might say 500 milligrams is really like 200 in there. There's a lot of stuff going on in that industry, which is kind of iffy. So I try to stick to brands I know that have, like Solgar is a good brand. Life Extension is a good brand. There's a couple of brands that are known for good quality stuff, and they're third party tested. So if it's not third party tested, I don't touch it. So those two help with my iron. My ulcerative colitis, my calprotectin numbers unfortunately went up. So my calprotectin numbers were, the last time I tested before was 250. Pretty good for someone with ulcerative colitis. It should be lower, of course, but that was not bad. When I tested myself 2 weeks ago, it was 400, which was, no, let's go the wrong direction. And I'll talk about what I think is the cause and how I'll fix it, and I'll test again in about 2-3 weeks, and I'll let you know what happens. So that went up to 400. And I don't know if you're familiar, since you may not be familiar, but if you're looking at ulcerative colitis issues, you probably are familiar with calprotectin. 400 is not a high number. It's just high in the sense that there's definitely a problem with your colon. There's inflammation in there. But if I tell you my numbers, say a year ago, I was at 3,000 plus. It was so high that their machine that measures it, or the chemical way of testing it, did not go above 3,000. So I was above 3,000. Could have been 4,000. Who knows? So my numbers are not extreme, but it's definitely not good because I went the wrong direction. The other thing that changed was my liver numbers, my ALT, which is looking at any kind of fatty liver or inflammation in the liver. And I have unfortunately gone up, and I tested it, and I was at 39 the last time I tested, or the time before that, about 3 months ago, it was 39. I had been on my highest was 119, and I had damaged my liver, and I used my nutrition to bring it down. I got it down to my 40s and 30s, which is safe. Unfortunately, what happened was this time when I tested it, it was 71, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And I was a little upset about it, but I'll discuss why that number went up, and that's one part of the nutritional side of it. So, looking at these numbers, those are the pros and those are the cons. So, just to give you a rough down of what might have caused these to go up and how I'm going to fix it, let me talk about what I eat first of all. So, my diet consists of 90% meat. So, I eat mostly steaks, fatty steaks, not lean, fatty steaks with avocado oil, some kind of oil mixed with it. Eggs, lots of eggs. I eat 3-4 eggs a day, usually 3 on average. Uh, Here and there, I eat chicken or fish or lamb or something. I eat any meat, but I don't eat it very often. Just flavor issues. I got sick of chicken from years back when I was sick, and I ate chicken for so long that I just got sick of it. So I don't get the flavor for it very much. But I eat it. It's not a problem with it. Um, what else do I eat? I eat bacon and sausages, hot dogs, but I'm very picky with those because uh, I go to places like Sprouts or natural food stores that have grass fed, all natural, not all natural because that means nothing. Grass fed, uncured, no sugar added, no chemicals. If you flip it and look at the ingredients and read it, everything you read you'll recognize. It's usually some kind of vegetable or seasoning or just meat. It's not does not have the chemicals they used to make it, and I eat that pretty often with my eggs. And on the side, there are things that I can tolerate and I do very well with. So I have purple potatoes, usually not on a rare occasion I'll have regular potato, but it's usually purple potato. Maybe once a week I'll have like a purple potato, maybe twice the most. And purple potatoes are nutriently dense. They're really good for you, and it doesn't seem to give me the gas that regular potato it has because I don't do well with regular potatoes. And uh, and I eat like a third of it or a half of it in one sitting, and then I don't eat it again for a couple of days. And if you look at a purple potato, it's not like a round. They tend to be kind of elongated shape like that, and thinner and smaller. Um, and they're kind of big, so I don't particularly eat a lot of it. On average, I eat one third of it. If it's really small, sometimes they're small like that big, then I'll eat half of it. All you do is boil it, or I boil it, and then it gets soft. I take the skin off, and I eat it with my eggs. It's a way of getting a little texture difference with my eggs because I just don't like plain eggs very much. Um, so that's something I'll have. But usually it's bacon or the hot dogs that are again uncured, grass-fed, organic stuff. So I'm very cautious about those. I don't buy the cheap stuff. Um, and these aren't extremely expensive. Of course, it's a little more than the cheap stuff, but it's not extreme, so it's affordable. But if you're gonna have bacon and processed meats, because bacon and hot dogs are processed, you want to get the healthiest version of it possible because it's worth every penny if you're going to eat things like that, that you eat quality. Um, what else do I eat? On occasion, my mom makes or homemade bread uh, with organic flour, and we she makes it when it freshly comes out of the oven. I really love bread when it comes out of the oven, so I'll take a large slice of that, and that's pretty much the only bread I eat. And then I don't touch it again for 10 days or whatever till she makes more. I don't eat it often. I try to avoid the breads. Um, Once every 10 days, I might have rice with my ground beef, or by itself. I just like rice. I eat a lot of basmati rice when I was in my culture. And rice is one of those foods, if you are going to eat carbohydrates for whatever reason, is very tolerable. Your body does really well with it compared to breads. Um, but I try to avoid it because, again, it's not the bread and the rice that I worry about so much the sugars in it that I worry about because they're usually high sugar content foods. So when you're eating a high fat meat diet, you have to avoid eating carbohydrates. Now, whenever I eat those two, I cut the fat down that day because I'm eating too much. So if I have a big slice of bread, I make sure that I don't have any fat with it. If I eat rice, I either eat it by itself or when I eat it with meat, I make sure I use a lean meat or I squeeze all the fat out of the ground beef to make sure it's very lean. Usually I pick up all the fat with it and eat it. So um, I try to eat it maybe once every 10 days, not much more than that. I eat now on the vegetable side with my foods. I eat cooked vegetables, but only a couple of type of vegetables. I eat onions, a little bit of garlic here and there. I put in my food. Uh, term, a little bit of turmeric here and there, ginger here and there. I'll eat. I know those aren't all vegetables. Just sharing what I eat. Um, a little bit of carrots here and there, but I cook it so that it's soft. I don't eat any, and once in a while I'll put spinach in my food, or on a rare occasion even a cauliflower. But I make sure they're all cooked for a while. It's nice and tender. It's easy to eat and digest because there's several advantages to cooked vegetables. One, raw vegetables will trigger your ulcerative colitis. It does not like raw vegetables because the high fiber content is tough on your stomach. It's like eating food that's going to irritate the lining of your stomach. That's when it's raw. Two, it makes the vegetable bioavailable, tends to break down the vegetables so that it's easily absorbable. Three, it also breaks down the fiber, so it breaks down the fiber to a point, make it more soluble fiber, because insoluble fiber is tough on ulcerative colitis. It's if you eat raw vegetables, you have to cut that out if you're eating it and you have colitis. They will not do you good. If you go to doctors, they tell you to eat it, but you do not want to do that. So you have to cut that out. And I recommend cutting it out completely if you have a bad ulcerative colitis condition, which I talk about how you have to stick to a more carnivore diet for several months to heal your gut. Um, and then on occasion, I'll have a piece of fig or a date. The dates, I'll eat one, maybe two the most, with a tea or something. But even that's not every day, once in a while. But I pick natural sugary things that uh, I eat a small amount so my sugar content doesn't go up. So I stay within like 10 grams of sugar per one sitting of tea or something I have. Two, the sugars are packed with fiber. It has fiber. It has vitamins, minerals, things that your body can actually use. So it's just not pure sugar like table sugar that has nothing but a spike in your insulin. This actually lowers your spike. It also comes with loaded with helpful vitamins and minerals. So it is, if you're gonna eat it, that's the best way. And on a rare occasion, I have honey or a natural sugar that's not stevia or all that crap. A natural sugar like honey or something I put in my tea, and I put a little bit of in there, but again, not a lot or an every day. So maybe a spoonful, so 4 or 5 grams of sugar in a tea, uh, or maybe 8 if the tea cup is big. What else? I think that's it. So that's my natural eating where my numbers always come down. It's always low. And that's what helps to keep your cholesterol, I'm sorry, your insulin, your ulcerative colitis or Crohn's in check. In my case, ulcerative colitis. Now, what did I do that I think ruined it? So, one of the things I have in my case, not everybody will suffer from, is I have a sugar thing. I love sweets, and I've been like that all my life. I really crave it. I had to cut it out of my diet completely. I didn't even have dates and stuff for a while to let my body to lose that addiction to it. But as I started getting better, I started trying to add the natural sweeteners that are like natural sweeteners like dates, figs, things like that. Again, one or two, that's it, nothing crazy. But I haven't had table sugar in so long, I couldn't even tell you. On a rare occasion, maybe if I had a cookie somewhere, maybe. But I haven't used table sugar in a long time. I don't use other stevias and other sugars or alcohol sugars. I don't eat any of those things. So I'm very careful on what kind of sugar gets in my body if I'm gonna have it. Um, what happened in the last month and a half, 2 months, is that because my numbers were lower, I was indulging in a little bit of sweets because I really miss sweets. I've been really left sweets behind for a while. So besides the occasional slice of bread, as I mentioned, baked at home and my mom made, I would eat. I was also having these Sprouts or those organic health food stores have cookies that are chocolate chip. They're made with the chocolate chip is not the crap that they sell in the stores. It's made of cacao. It is the oil is butter, not the garbage that usually is in there, like vegetable oils they put in there. And the one that I particularly get has, I think, what kind of flour? And gosh, I forgot the flour, but I think it's not regular flour. It's made of almond and rice and things like that. So I was starting eating that cookie because I was craving sweets. So I said, okay, if I'm gonna have a little bit of cookie, I'll have it healthy so that I can at least get natural. There's no chemicals in it. There's nothing. It's really good quality stuff. The problem with me is with sweets is that I have very little tolerance to how much. So when I bought these two kinds of cookies, one was the chocolate chip one made by a company that was really healthy, and it had only the natural ingredients. There's nothing else in it. And the other one is it's a coconut cookie, which is it's made of coconuts. The sugar's coconut sugar. It's again super healthy for these type of desserts. The problem with it is that I tend to not just do so. For example, the cookies are this big. They're bite size. They're not very big. And the bag it comes, it's a small bag. It has maybe 20 cookies in it. And because they're so small, you could fit 20 in there. My problem is when I eat a cookie, and again, for people that have sugar issues like me, uh, when I start, I don't eat one or two and stop and say, okay, I had my cookie. My problem is when I get the sugars in my body, I want to have 10, and then it turns to be 12, and then the next thing you know, I finish the bag. Then I'm in trouble. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Okay, that was just a dessert day. And truly, that wouldn't be so bad if I didn't have it again for 2 months. Problem was, by the end of the week, I was craving it. I'd buy 2 bags, and I'd eat it 2 bags in 1 week. I'd buy the coconut one. I'd have that one. So I was starting to have these cookies 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Even though it's natural, healthy, whatnot, it's not. It's meant to be a dessert to be eaten once a week, once every 2 weeks. That's it. I was turning it into a daily thing, which was a problem. Not a daily thing, but I was having it pretty much every other day. Um, on top of that, I had bought some ice cream, 4 ingredient ice cream that was non-dairy. It's made of coconut again, coconut sugar, vanilla extract, and I forgot the fourth ingredient. But that's it. It's very, again, healthy ice cream. But then I would eat that with it, with the cookies. And when I combine those things, if I would think of it between the cookies and ice cream, I was having dessert 4 or 5 days out of the week. It was just getting out of control. I thought I would do okay with it, but I didn't. Because what was happening is that because I eat a fattier meat, I'm adding all these sugars and carbs in my diet, and those two do not do well with the liver. So I suspect that my liver numbers went up because I combined sugars and fats again, and that tends to strain the liver as well as not good for your ulcerative colitis. So I have decided to cut that out. I haven't had in 2 weeks, I haven't had a cookie, I haven't had ice cream, anything. I've cut them all out. Um, so I'm back to being careful. I may even have like one ice cream thing. I'll buy a small one, but I make it last like so 1 pint, which is this big or small. Uh, I'll eat that 3 different times in a month, maybe. So I'm going to be very careful with my sugar. And I'm hoping between being strict with my diet by eating the meats I mentioned, the few vegetables that are cooked I mentioned. I didn't mention fruit, but I do eat fruit. I don't eat a lot of it. I eat fruit. Again, the fruits and vegetables I eat a little bit of because all the vitamins and minerals, potassium, things like that you get is so high in those things that I always worry that maybe I'm not going to get enough out of meat, even though meat has all the ones you need. I just think that it's better to have a little bit, especially if I have my colitis in check. I can tolerate it. It doesn't bother me too much. So fruit, I eat whatever fruit I feel like, just don't eat a lot of it. So I eat maybe 1 to 2 fruits a day. Like I'll have an orange maybe, and then maybe a banana, or I'll have an orange and some strawberries. Another day I might have blueberries and I don't know, a pear. I remove the skin because I try to get rid of the high fiber in it. So I eat some fruit, but I don't eat large amounts or high quantities. I don't eat a ton of it. But I make sure that I get multivitamins in my body, minerals, things that are important to get, so I'm not short on anything. And of course, my drinks are usually water. I rarely drink soda now. I rarely drink the other stuff. The last time I had soda was, ooh, I'm cheating here. So I had a ginger ale yesterday, which I craved. I had a ginger ale because I went to Buffalo Wild Wings. It's a place that cooks wings in beef fat. And I was having some of that, and I was craving soda. So instead of getting a Coke, I got a ginger ale. Not much better than a Coke, but at least slightly better. But the last time I had a soda was 3 months ago, 4 months ago. So again, I don't have much of that stuff. I try to avoid it. In fact, I've learned how to make soda at home naturally, so I eat soda at home. I make it myself at home, and it's better than the store ones. No chemicals, no nothing. And one day I'll talk about the ingredients and how to make it easy for you guys. So I'm gonna go back to my strict diet, and then I'll check my numbers in about 2, 3 weeks, and then I'll let you know if I've had considerable improvement, which I know I will because I've done this now in the last couple of years. I've been able to learn how to fix it, and I've done it, and I've not failed once. Every time I go to the proper human diet, I get strict with my eating. Guess what happens? My ulcerative colitis drops, my liver numbers drop, everything goes back to normal. Every time I cheat a little, kind of goes up. And my problem is I'm not saying to you for you guys not to have at all. The idea is how much you're gonna have when you cheat. Like I always say, dessert is meant to be a dessert maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. That's it. And then small portion of it. Not like me where I get a bag of cookies and I devour it like there's no tomorrow. But you have a couple of cookies, those little bite size. So for example, if you have one regular chocolate chip cookie, right? And if you can find it organic and natural or whatever. So if you have one cookie, it's not gonna kill you. Especially if you don't touch a cookie again for 10 days, 15 days, maybe, at least a week, but preferably 10, 15 days. And then you have some other dessert again in 15 days, whatever you crave, you want to have. Maybe a little ice cream, who knows? But, a cup of ice cream, not a big bowl of ice cream. So there's ways around it to do it. You'll be fine. You don't want it to be what I would do is when I get when I start eating the sugars, it becomes a daily problem. And I have it way too many days out of the week and it becomes a major issue. So that is my situation. That's what's happened. My numbers slightly went up. My liver went up slightly. My calprotect went up slightly. Things that I had under control. I'm still under control. It didn't get extremely bad because even though I did cheat a little bit, again, most important, I didn't buy cookies from the store that's got garbage in it. I didn't buy breads from stores. I didn't buy stuff that were, in full of processed chemicals, whatever. I, in fact, make sure that the number one thing. There are two key things I should say that I avoid. One is vegetable oils. I avoid it like the plague, and processed foods. So I don't care if I'm having meat, if I'm having hot dogs, if I'm having cookies, if I'm having dessert, whatever. I avoid the processed stuff like the plague. So, example would be the last time I had processed stuff outside of the stupid ginger ale yesterday was maybe 5 months ago. I had some cookie or something that had it, some dessert. I think it was a piece of cake I had that had it. And before that, it was another 5 months. So I try to avoid processed stuff completely. So I'm very cautious about processed foods. So that's how I've been able to control a lot of things, make my health better. I've gotten leaner because I noticed as I increased the sugar, cookies, and the bread and rice I eat here and there, but it's not much by itself. But with the cookies and the ice cream, I put on a couple of pounds, and that doesn't help the liver because with me, when I put a couple of pounds on, the first place I put it is right around the organs. Some people put it around the body first, and then if it gets too much, it goes to the organs. Me, it's the other way around. It goes straight to the organs first. So I had to get leaner again. So I had to cut that stuff out, and I've noticed already my face. I've gotten leaner. So that's pretty much it. So I will give you guys an update as soon as I get it tested again in a couple of weeks. And then I'm going to make some other videos because there's other stuff I want to talk about. Things like making soda at home, talk about the proper human nutrition, talk about things that can help people. I take breaks a while. I don't come in here because I feel like it gets too much and I don't want to annoy people with my mug here all the time, but I need to do more for natural eating or healthy habits, things that I've learned or hacks, anything that I can help somebody with. So finally, the thing is on my videos, this is not a profit-making video. I don't advertise. I don't do any kind of things. If there's advertisement of videos, I didn't do it. It's probably the YouTube, not judging them. It's just not me. I don't do this for profit or try to get whatever. I am strictly here to help people try to eat naturally and healthy and solve chronic diseases and ulcerative colitis and Crohn's, and trying to avoid medication as much as possible. So that's my goal. Maybe if I can save a life or two, I'm a happy camper. That's all I ask in life, that I do some good out there. If anybody has questions, you're welcome to reach me at my email. It's lazaruslost@gmail.com. It's L as in Larry, A as in Apple, Z as in Zebra, A as in Apple, R as in Robert, U as in Under, S as in Sam, and then the word lost, L-O-S-T. So altogether, lazaruslost@gmail.com. I'm easy to talk to. I look forward to hearing from people because if I can help you with questions, whether it's nutrition or if it's trying to fix a chronic health issue or ulcerative colitis, I'm here for you. So feel free to reach out. Other than that, have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you in the near future. Bye-bye.